We are really into some ryes this evening, aren't we?
Boy, rye whiskey is something we really enjoy.
We be loving it. Welcome back to Bourbon Theory. I'm Bill.
I'm Josh.
And we're going to OFO.
We're going to some OFO. If you are in the know, you know about OFO. Because it's not Old Forester.
When you know, you know.
It's OFO. So, Mark and Jessica at B&B Package, thank you guys so much.
Kingsport, Tennessee.
Yes, Kingsport, Tennessee at B&B Package. Jessica, she gave us some special samples on our very first day of our bourbon trip. And we just mentioned, hey, Old Forester, single barrel proof stuff is what we were looking for. It was on our list.
She was just throwing out samples. I mean, it was a brown cardboard box, and she was throwing them out.
And we just casually mentioned this is something we were looking for. We didn't see it on our shelf, so we weren't expecting much. She goes, you know what? I'm going to have a bottle or two of that in the back. So she brought it out for us. So thank you, Jessica.
Yes, thank you very much.
So much. So we are greatly looking forward to trying these because your opinion on some old faux has changed a little bit.
Not OFO. OFO.
OFO. Sorry, guys.
OFO.
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 Has changed just
I'm in the know
bit.
with OFO.
You know about that OFO.
Yeah, but their writing's too small.
Oh, here, do I need to read it for you? Not that my eyesight's probably much better than yours.
So 128.7
yes,
proof.
Super high. Super high.
Warehouse L, floor number 1.
Floor number 1, which leads me to believe this is a single barrel. It certainly should have been a little older than like a floor 7 or something like that, So distilled and bottled by Old Forester.
We are really into some ryes this evening, aren't we?
Boy, rye whiskey is something we really enjoy.
We be loving it.
So nothing in particular on the back of these.
He's just saying that because he can't read it either.
I can go through the whole thing right now if you wanted to. I think my eyesight's probably a little better than your glasses are. My left eye is my good eye. Old Forester is one of the few distilleries to still employ heat cycling throughout our warehouses, so that means they rotate their barrels. So that's cool.
Or they blow hot air.
One of the two. Throughout its aging process, this process, along with our proprietary mash bill, historic yeast strain, and own cooperage, they have their own cooperage? I did not know that.
You know what? I did, and I knew it because of Woodford.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Brown-Forman owns Woodford and owns Old Forester and Jack Daniels and a few other really major distilleries. With their own cooperage combined with our uncompromising quality standards, produce one-of-a-kind barrels with exceptional range of flavors. The unfiltered barrel strength offering is our way of sharing their individual character and celebrating how our whiskey matures in oak. So tell me my eyesight isn't good enough.
128 and change.
128.7. And boy, we love
some high proof.
Matter of fact, I've never had a hazmat bourbon, but I am looking forward to the day where I run along a hazmat bourbon. Because I'd love to try. Because the highest I've had is 136.2. That's the highest I've had. You do have some 139.9 GTS sitting behind us right now.
I do?
Let me double check that.
Imagine that.
Let me double check that. So that is 135. And it's 124.
Yeah, I think you're maybe a little too high there.
Well, okay, something you have around here is 139.
I do have some.
It might be a regular Stag Junior that's sitting over here.
Or I have some old bottling of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
That might be the case.
That's 139.4, I believe.
That might be the case. But pish posh, we're trying Old Faux right now.
OFO.
OFO. I'll get it right eventually here. Proofy on the nose. Proofy on the nose.
Yes. There's definitely a lot of ethanol that comes off of it.
Man, there's some nice sweetness.
Yes, there is. But the ethanol is a bit overpowering in the Glen.
When you blow it out, though, caramel, there's a little bit of banana. Am I wrong?
Well, that's a Brown-Forman thing. You can get that.
Just a little bit of banana. Not a lot of spice on the nose, which is a little different.
Yep.
Especially for a
being a
rye.
rye.
I mean, let's get into it, shall we?
It's very interesting. We are here for all of you. This is our 70-second pour of the evening. I might be exaggerating that just a bit.
That drinks at its proof, maybe a little over.
As I recall, as we were blinding this, I nailed the proof. I nailed the proof on everything that Jessica poured for us that day.
This was not in the blind.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
The video's out. You guys fact check us here.
Trust me, it was.
I don't recall it being. I know that Blanton's barrel, straight from the barrel.
Straight from the barrel was. This was too.
I don't recall that. This is a lot like one of the bourbons we tried earlier, the RY3 rye. It kind of smacks you with that proof early.
It's very fresh.
Yeah, and then it kind of fades away and rolls back through.
It's a very fresh nose. It's a bit of a 1 or 2 nose.
Yeah, not super. There's a lot of oak on the palate, but it's sweet oak. There's a little bit of the bitterness. You took your sip already?
No.
You get in there while I talk.
That sweet nose kind of is reminiscent of Old Turkey. Sorry.
The older stuff.
Wild Turkey.
Wild Turkey, yeah. Like some of that Bardstown 11, 12 with that 14, 13-year-old turkey. I could see that. This is that oak really is nice and sweet. It's a little bit of bitterness on the back, but that kind of second roll through that comes through on it, really, is it right?
Oh, man.
That first hit is a little heavy. It hits you harder than 128.7.
It honestly, it's hard to hit harder than call it 129.
Yeah.
It's hard to hit harder than that.
That hits harder than that 136.2 prover that I had before. That initial hit.
But it's sweet.
It is. That sweet oak tannininess that comes through. There's a little bit of like a vanilla.
Sweet, a bit of drying.
Yes. It sticks.
Oh.
It sticks. Like nice and heavy. Would you like a drop, sir?
Not yet.
Okay.
I want to do second sip before I do a drop.
You get in there. I like to give it the drop, swirl it, let it sit for just a minute here. Because, man, this is heavy on your palate. This is it almost isn't on the tip of my tongue, but like just after the tip, it's there on the front palate. Heavy on the mid.
It definitely hangs heavy on the mid.
A little lighter on the finish.
There's a sugary, thick, sugary sweetness on the front, the first third. Not necessarily the very front.
Yeah. And I can only attribute that to wood sugars.
Yeah.
Because it's not cane sugar, it's not molasses, it's not caramel, it's not vanilla, it's not raw sugar, it's not it's not an artificial sweetener or anything like that. It's just a sweet
because you can't do that.
No.
You can't do that with bourbon or rye. You can't do it.
Tell you what, that nose is nice and oaky. After that water, you gotta get yourself a drop in there to get it going.
I did. I dropped one in there. The proof is there.
It's really mellows out after your first little hit there.
But give you 10 seconds, and to your point, mellows in. It is, but it hangs. It is still there. I am still tasting it. It is sweet. It is spicy. It is oaky. It is tannic. It is everything you want in a whiskey, in a Kentucky whiskey. It is everything you want.
Kentucky rye.
Well, whiskey, rye. That's why I said whiskey instead of bourbon.
Yeah. You know what? I have sort of found myself forming this opinion over time. Old Forester does not put their name on a bottle of whiskey that is bad. I've had their 86 proof.
I can't say that I have.
I've had their 100 proof. 86 proof, and it's just our preference. We don't like low proofers. So I would still leave that as like a C. But 100 proof.
But up until recently, their 1897, their 100 proof 1897 was my favorite of the Whiskey Row series.
But let me tell you, you tried that double oak 1910, and you really liked it.
I have. Yes, I have.
We've got a 1920 sitting.
Yeah, we got to get around.
We got to get that thing going. I got to buy ourselves a 1970 so we can do the full Whiskey Row series because we did pick up a 1924.
Yeah, the 1870, yeah. Yes, we did.
The Bourbon Trail. So
which is way overpriced. Way overpriced.
Yes.
But it's just hard to find.
Really good whiskey, though.
Yes.
Really good whiskey.
We had a taste of it at the Brown.
At the Brown Hotel in Louisville. Just those secondary prices are a little ridiculous, guys.
This is good, though.
It's fantastic.
It's
fantastic.
It is so complex.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with this. It is so...
different.
It's so different from an OFO.
Yes.
Not to say that they're not complex, because they are somewhat.
They are.
But this is leaps and bounds above.
This is maybe only like the third Old Forester rye I've ever had.
I don't know that I've ever had an
I've
OFO
had some
rye.
sourced stuff, I believe, that is rumored to be OFO rye. OFO rye.
OFO.
This is...
OFO.
There you go. This is very complex. The oakiness that it gives you really makes you like sit back and think about what it's giving you.
It does.
It's not a one-noter.
No.
It's not a two-noter. It's like a
6-noter.
Yeah. And honestly, Woodford has their thing where somebody gave like a 200-note review or something on one of their whiskeys, which is absolutely ridiculous. Nobody picks up 200 notes, and if they say that they do, they are lying.
Yeah.
If you pick up...
Unless it's me. If it's me, it's the truth.
If you pick up 5 or more notes on the palate of a whiskey, that's an interesting thing you need to...
Or the nose.
review.
I mean, between the two, it's... This has got... There's a bit of a burnt on this, which I can tend to get from a pot still.
This isn't pot still.
It's not?
Nope.
That's true. Woodford is.
It might be in a doubler after it's in a pot still.
But there's still a burnt note here.
And I think that's just the proof.
Which is not my favorite thing in the world.
I think it's just the proof on it, though. For me.
Irregardless, it's not my
me.
favorite thing in the world. I do a fair amount of cooking, and I don't burn things. And if I do, I throw them away. But I never do.
Personally, it's just the proof that gives you that little bit of like a burnt sugar.
But I like proof. That's the,
note to it.
It is a burnt sugar.
Yes.
It's like a caramelized,
It's like you took the caramelization of sugar a little too far.
It's like you did a creme brulee and when you do the torch.
Yeah, you torch it a little too long.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's a little different.
It's like you used a weed burner instead of a handheld torch.
Did you say weed burner?
Yes, weed burner. Not like that kind of weed. But I like where you're headed with that.
Whatever you say.
I was a child of the 70s.
That you were. You were a teenager in the 70s. This is good stuff. My rating is not going to be as high as some of the other ryes that we've got. I'm struggling with this one a little bit. Do you know what you're rating?
This one, for me, is an A-.
Okay. See, for me, I'm struggling between B+ and B.
And I could see where you are with it.
Yeah.
There's a burnt note here.
There's just a little bit of a lack of complexity that some of the other ryes just today
Yeah.
that we have tried.
Well, the other thing is, remember this. This is like the 16th ounce that we have been through.
Rye and honestly, a lot of high proof stuff.
16th
I got here
ounce.
about 145, I think, is when we started our first
In 6
video.
hours. 16 ounces in 6 hours. Now, I don't know how many of the rest of you can handle that much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In
That's
that amount of time.
Very good point here.
And the only thing that we have poured off in that amount of time
With some of our blinds that we did,
that's mine.
and we are right about the
We're
same.
about the
right
same.
there. Just a little bit. Less than an ounce of a pour left over.
Way less, yes.
Yeah. And we're definitely feeling it, for
Yes,
those
we
of
are.
you who are watching. But there's a difference between feeling it and not being able to articulate your thoughts
And
on
if
a bourbon.
if we do it tonight, we have at least 10
10.
Four Roses to go through. At least. And those are barrel strength.
Barrel strength, which kind of ranges, but
still,
usually it's over
they're
100.
not going to be 100.
Yeah,
so they're
I
going to
think
be
the
100.
lowest is like 108-ish.
Yeah.
On those, 108 to like 119, something like that.
So,
But let me tell you, this is pretty good. I'm going to give it a B. It's just not as complex as some of the other ryes we've put out there today. Are you sticking with your A minus?
you know what? I will go B plus because
Okay.
it's got a bit of a burnt
Yes.
note to it.
That like burnt sugar on the finish.
And
It's pleasant, but it's
I
not
was
my
gonna say,
favorite.
It's not off-putting.
Yes.
It's
just a little different.
It's different.
It's not what we pick up. And that could be the proof. It could be the age. Who knows how old this is?
Yeah.
It does not tell us how old this is. So I would recommend. Thank you, sir.
dark chocolate for you.
Thank you, sir.
Dark chocolate for me.
I would recommend, if you see this bottle in your market, I would absolutely recommend buying a barrel proof Old Forester rye, because I don't know how long they've been producing these, but it's probably in limited supply at this point. The fact that we found both the bourbon and the rye on our bourbon trail were a little bit of a surprise to the both of us.
Oh yeah.
So really, really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it a B. You give it a B plus. Correct?
So mine counts. So that's why I'm putting them in the database.
You put whatever you want in that database. This is a good barrel, a good bottle. I would recommend purchasing a Old Forester single barrel proof rye whiskey. I think this is more of a bourbon friendly rye. Would you say? There's not a ton of rye spice on it.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't think it's I think it barely might I think it approaches the 50% bourbon mark. Mm-hmm. But I'd say it's still in the low 40s.
Yeah.
And it's probably in the high 40s for the rye side of it.
Yeah. If I had to give you if my life was depending on it, you told me to give you the corn percentage of this bourbon, I would say 38%.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair point
Yeah.
to put it at. So, good bottle. Do enjoy it. I'm going to stick at a B. Not my favorite rye I've had. Still do recommend it, especially because we bought this for like $80. That one was more expensive than the bourbon, actually.
Well, ryes are generally more expensive
That's true.
than bourbons.
That is true. So $100 is the range, I would say, to put it at. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember what we just had recently.
So guys, like good bourbon and especially good rye whiskey, we get better with time. And we do hope you have enjoyed yourselves, that you hit that subscribe button, that you hit the like button if you've enjoyed your time here with us this evening. And hit that notification bell if you want to see more of us.
And if you haven't, the hell's wrong with you? I mean, seriously.
He said it.
I mean,
Not me. He said it.
Joe Biden. What the hell? What's wrong with you? Seriously.
I'm bleeping that.
I'm being serious right now.
Bleeping that.
Why not?
Guys, thanks for being here with us.
I'm just being a little facetious.
Hit all of those buttons below you if you have not already.
Except for the unlike.
Skip the dislike button. Skip that one. Give us a thumbs up. Hope you have enjoyed it that much. And of course, as we always say, please take good care of yourselves.
Yeah, we're not driving.
We're at home. We're not driving after this. Take care of yourselves, guys.